Before I begin, make sure you're somewhere safe, because what you're about to hear isn't just a story about a cruise. It's about a ship no one ever truly left. A luxury American cruise turned into something that defies explanation. A voyage from which its passengers never came back the same.
My name's Michael. I'm 31 years old. 9 days after my wedding, my wife Brooke and I decided to take a short honeymoon trip. A 5-night cruise across the Caribbean on a ship called the Silver Horizon. It was a wedding gift from a friend. We lived in a small apartment in Tampa, Florida. After months of work and planning, the idea of getting away felt perfect. When we arrived, the ship looked like a floating city. Glass facades, jazz music drifting through the decks, and a sense of freedom everywhere. Our cabin was on deck 7, average-sized, with a small balcony overlooking the ocean. It wasn't fancy, but it felt like another world.
That first evening, while carrying our bags down the corridor, we met him, an older man, maybe in his late 60s, standing by the door next to ours. He wore a beige windbreaker zipped up to his chin and held the glass in one hand. He smiled and said quietly, "Name's Richard, but everyone calls me Rick." He seemed friendly at first. His smile was steady, but it never reached his eyes. He called me young man and Brooke the little lady, even after she'd told him her name. He claimed he was a cruise veteran, dozens of trips under his belt, and began sharing advice about the food, the buffet, and which areas to avoid. It was small talk, but something about him made me uneasy. That night, after we turned off the lights and the ship rocked gently, I woke up to footsteps. They came from the wall next to our bed, the one shared with Rick's cabin. Slow, dragging steps, then silence, then again. I told myself he couldn't sleep, but after a while came another sound, a faint tapping, rhythmic, like someone scratching metal with a nail. Brooke whispered, "Do you hear that?" I nodded. Eventually it stopped, and we fell asleep again, but I didn't rest easy.
The next morning, Rick was sitting by his door, reading a paperback. He greeted us with that same unsettling smile and asked, "Tried the French toast yet?" Brooke smiled politely, but I noticed something. His cabin door was slightly open, just enough to look deliberate. Cruise doors are automatic. They close unless held open. Rick had wedged his door with a piece of paper. That evening, everything was normal until around 11 p.m. Then the noises returned. But this time, not footsteps, whispers. Not words I could make out, just faint murmurings through the air vent that connected our walls.
I pressed my ear to it. Someone was definitely talking softly. A man's voice, muttering to himself. I banged on the wall once. The whispering stopped instantly. Then, silence. That kind of silence that feels like it's waiting for you to speak first. The next day, we told a crew member named Malik. He smiled politely and said walls on older ships are thin, probably a TV. But I saw it in his eyes. He didn't believe that. That night, when we returned, Brooke froze. On the handrail between our cabins was her underwear, neatly folded. The same pair she hadn't worn yet. Her face went pale. We looked at Rick's closed door. No sound, no movement.
We didn't sleep that night. Brooke left the lights on and jammed a chair under the doorknob. At 3 a.m., there was a click. The doorknob moved slowly, as if someone was testing it. I approached quietly. The movement stopped. I didn't open it. I just listened. Nothing but our breathing. The next day, Rick was gone. No sign of him at breakfast. No movement in his cabin. The door remained shut all day. We assumed he'd gone ashore on an excursion, until that night, when I checked our digital key log. It showed 4 entries while we were gone. Only Brooke and I had cards. So who came in? The room looked untouched, but everything was slightly off. Bags unzipped, razors on the bed, drawers opened.
We called security. A man and a supervisor named Carla came to check. They ran the logs, confused. Only Rick's card could have opened it. But here's the strange part. His cabin wasn't in the system. Room 7147, listed as unoccupied since embarkation. They unlocked it in front of us. It was spotless, bed made, towels folded. But the air smelled faintly of men's cologne. Behind the mirror, they found a napkin folded. It read, 12-47-9, observe. They never told us what that meant. That night, they moved us to another deck.
A year passed. No news, no reports, no trace of us in any official log. But the Silver Horizon kept sailing. That summer, 2 new passengers boarded. Vanessa and her best friend, Laura, nurses from Boston. They booked a short cruise to relax. Vanessa sent her brother a voice note. Finally, some rest. The ship's huge. Everyone's friendly. Our cabin's on deck 7, room 7145. 7145, right next to where Rick's cabin used to be. When they entered, Vanessa noticed a darker patch of paint behind the bed. She brushed it off. At midnight, Laura woke up to footsteps from inside the wall. Then a faint click and a whisper. A man's voice murmured something like, I see you." She jumped up and woke Vanessa. They checked the hallway. Empty. Everything was silent. The next morning, the mirror in the bathroom was slightly tilted, as if someone had touched it from behind. At breakfast, they sat beside an older gentleman wearing a captain's hat. He smiled warmly. "Room 7415, right? Is it comfortable?" Vanessa blinked. "How do you know that?" He chuckled. "I work here. I know most cabins." But his name tag had no logo, only initials, RK. Something in his eyes felt familiar. She couldn't explain it, but she'd seen that face before. That night, she dreamed of a dark cabin, a half-open door, and a man standing inside, holding a glass of amber liquid. The same glass Michael had seen a year earlier. At 3:17 a.m., she woke up to find Laura sitting upright, staring at the mirror. "What are you doing?" Vanessa whispered. Laura replied softly, almost asleep. "The man inside doesn't want us to leave." Vanessa went to the reception desk to request a room change. The clerk frowned when she saw the number. "Room 7145? That room wasn't assigned today. How did you get it?" Vanessa explained she'd booked it online. The clerk leaned closer and whispered, "That cabin's been closed since last year, after an incident." Before she could elaborate, a man in a gray suit appeared and said sharply, "Everything's fine, miss. Enjoy your cruise." Then gave the clerk a glare that said, "Stop talking." When Vanessa returned, the door to her cabin was slightly open, though she'd locked it, and Laura was gone. On the bed sat a water-damaged logbook titled "Voyages of the Silver Horizon, Passenger Register, 1974. She flipped through it. Most pages listed names and dates, but the last entry froze her. Passenger Richard Kane, cabin 7147, did not disembark. Her heart pounded. 7147, the cabin next door. She ran through the halls, asking crew members if they'd seen Laura. One said she was talking to an old man near the aft staircase a few minutes ago. Vanessa rushed there. All she found was a metal door labeled "Crew Only." Behind it came a faint sound and a short, soft laugh. That evening, the ship stopped near a small island for supplies. Vanessa was last seen walking down corridor 7A toward her room. The next morning, no answer. The door was locked from the inside, but the room was empty. On the pillow lay a small card that read 1247-9. Observe. The same phrase found a year earlier. Days later, when the ship docked, all records of Vanessa and Laura were gone, their booking data erased, as if they had never boarded. But one passenger posted on an obscure internet forum, "I was on the Silver Horizon last week. I saw an old man walking out of corridor 7A at night. He smiled at me like he knew the place better than the crew. His jacket had a patch that said, Richard K."
3 months later, freelance journalist Anna Greenfield got an anonymous email. It read, "If you want the truth about the Silver Horizon, look for the numbers 1247-9. Anna traced the ship to a private company, Blue Arc Marine. The company had vanished 2 years ago. No closure records. The ship's last official registration, 1974. After weeks of pressure, she secured permission to board before its next cruise. The ship looked normal from the outside, but inside, something was off. Dim lights, a faint smell of salt and rust. Deck 7's walls were newly painted. A young crewman named Ethan guided her. He'd been hired just a week before. He said strange things happened at night. Doors opening on their own, voices through vents, and sightings of an old man wandering corridor 7A. Even stranger, the ship never docked at official ports. "Every time we sail," Ethan said, "the destination changes. We travel through the night and end up somewhere off the charts." Anna asked to see the infamous cabin. They reached the spot, but the number was gone, painted over, just a blank space between 2 doors. Ethan knocked, hollow. "There used to be a room here," he muttered. Anna placed a small sound detector on the wall. It picked up faint vibrations, hollow space behind the panel. Then a whisper, 1247-9. The ship trembled slightly, though the sea was calm.
In the bridge, Anna demanded the old Voyage log. The captain brought a thick gray folder. Last recorded voyage, July 12th, 1974. It read in red ink, "Explosion in rear engine, coordinates 47 degrees north, 9 degrees west. Vessel presumed lost." Her eyes widened. 1247-9. "Are you saying this ship sank in 1974? The captain smiled faintly. "Not this ship you're standing on. The original one." Then added, "We just finished the voyages that never ended." At midnight, Anna and Ethan broke into the lower deck. Chains sealed the old engine room. They forced it open. The air was thick with salt. In the darkness stood a steel door etched with
12:47, 9. They entered. Inside were dozens of old suitcases, passenger IDs from the 1970s, photos, diaries, souvenirs from people long dead. In the corner sat a frail old man wearing a beige windbreaker. He lifted his head. "You finally made it," he said softly. It was Richard Kane, chief of crew, declared dead in 1974. "There was an explosion," he whispered. "The company hid it. Everyone died here, but the ship didn't sink. It kept sailing." Then he looked straight into her camera. "Tell them we're still at sea." The ship shuddered violently. Lights flickered, metal groaned, as if the silver horizon was reversing course. Anna screamed as the walls bent inward, and the last sound her camera captured was a whispering chorus saying, "The voyage never ends." 2 weeks later, a small lifeboat washed ashore near Miami. Inside were a broken camera and a soaked notebook. The last page read in Anna's handwriting, "The silver horizon isn't a ship, it's a curse, sailing endlessly in a loop of time. Everyone who boards becomes part of its crew." Since then, the silver horizon has vanished from all registries, but some fishermen still claim that on foggy nights they see faint lights on the horizon and hear music drifting over the waves. Every time they try to approach, the ship disappears, slipping silently back into 1974. The end, or maybe just the beginning again.